The statistics associated with deaths while using watercraft are quite shocking. Australia-wide, an average of 50 people a year drown when boating. Studies show that 92% of boating and watercraft drownings occurred when people were not wearing a life jacket. 26% of drownings involved alcohol, 31% involved drugs, 71.5% of people who drowned were using a powered boat, the rest were using unpowered watercraft. Men accounted for 91.8% of those drownings. 63% of the people who drowned were familiar with the area they drowned at. Life jackets save lives on the water, just as seat belts in cars save lives on the road. We're all used to buckling up when we get into our cars, but we seem very reluctant to do something similar when we go boating. This can partly be blamed on the old bulky style of life jackets. But now we have slimline inflatable devices that are non-intrusive and comfortable to wear. There is no longer any excuse for not wearing a life jacket when you're out on the water. Choosing the correct life jackets for your watercraft can be confusing. What's a Type 1 or Type 2? What does level 50 buoyancy mean? What's the difference between a life jacket and a buoyancy vest? Worse still, what is AS 4758.1 or AS 1499-1996? These terms don't make life simple for the average boatie, so we're going to try and explain the differences and make it a bit easier to understand and select the life jacket or PFD that's right for you. The first and probably most important difference between designs is a PFD that's designed to turn an unconscious person onto their back when they enter the water. A PFD that doesn't have this ability means that someone wearing it could drown while believing they are safe. For most recreational boaters who operate in near coastal waters, a Type 1 PFD, or life jacket, as it's commonly referred to, is required. These provide head and neck support and are designed to keep your head above water even if you're unconscious. This type of flotation device is not suitable for high-speed water sports such as water skiing. A life jacket needs to be able to support your weight, and they are not one size fits all. Children must have appropriately sized jackets for their size and weight. In Australia, a life jacket must conform to one of the Australian standard specifications. The current standard is AS 4758. This replaced the older standards, but even if an older standard is listed on a life jacket, they are still acceptable if they're in good condition. There are other standards for other countries, and some of them are actually acceptable for use in Australia, but to simplify things, just look for a jacket that complies with the Australian standards. Currently, it's not compulsory to wear a life jacket at all times when boating in Western Australia, but with the availability of new compressed air life jackets, it's a very good idea to wear one at all times anyway. There's just no way of knowing when a day on the water is suddenly going to turn nasty and you're going to find yourself in an emergency situation. Studies have shown that it is extraordinarily difficult to put a life jacket on once you're in the water. The old terminology for different PFDs was Type 1, 2 and 3. This has now been replaced with level 50, 50S, 100, 150 and 275. The old Type 1 life jackets have now been split into 3 different categories, and each has different buoyancy levels. Level 100 is the basic level for this style of life jacket. It must be brightly coloured, have reflective patches, and be able to roll the wearer onto a face-up position in the water. Level 100 can have built-in buoyancy, such as foam, or they can be inflatable. Level 150 provides greater buoyancy, but conforms to the other standards for level 100. Level 275 provides the highest level of buoyancy, but it's not designed for normal recreational use. It's more for commercial users who may enter the water wearing heavier clothing and equipment. The level refers to the buoyancy measured in newtons. Effectively, the higher the number, the more buoyancy the life jacket will have. Level 50, which was the old Type 2, are called buoyancy vests. They are not suitable for offshore use. They're designed only as a flotation aid and are for use in near-shore flat water, where the user will be able to swim or can reasonably expect to be rescued within a short time. Generally, they are only expected to be used within about 400 meters of the shore. They allow the wearer to swim and are produced in high visibility colors and are less bulky than traditional style life jackets. Level 50S special purpose are the old Type 3 vests. They are the most comfortable to wear, but like Level 50, they are not designed to keep the user afloat. They are only a flotation aid and cannot be relied on in offshore conditions. Level 50S does not have to come in high visibility colors. You must have one life jacket that's correctly sized and fitted for each person on board over the age of 12 months. A proposed new law in Western Australia will make it mandatory for children and adults in boats under 4.8 meters to wear a life jacket at all times, and not just have them in the vessel. For more detailed information on boating rules and safety, please visit the Department of Transport website and your local sea rescue group. See the link in the description below. Inflatable life jackets come in two different types, automatic or manual. When selecting which type to use, you need to understand the kind of conditions you're going to be boating in. Automatic life jackets will inflate as soon as the mechanism on the jacket becomes wet. If you're going to be operating in an environment where there's a lot of salt spray, the life jacket can actually inflate while you're still on board the boat. This is definitely an undesirable feature for a lot of people, and a manual inflation life jacket where you have to pull a cord to inflate it is probably going to be more suitable. In general, inflatable life jackets need to be serviced at least every 12 months, or perhaps at longer intervals according to the manufacturer's instructions.